this is Dodger and you're watching my show.
Three, two, one, ready, go.
It is Mother's Day here in America, and basically nowhere else, because we really like to be special. So happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers out there, and a moment of silence for all the Q-bones. If you don't know the lore on Q-bones, maybe don't look it up, because it's really sad. For our first piece of news, GOG Galaxy went live as a beta. It's basically like a competitive client for Steam and Origin and everything like that, except I feel like this one could possibly give Steam a run for their money, maybe just a little bit. For those of you who don't really know much about GOG.com, it's a place where you can get older games that will run fine on your computer, no DRM. It's just a very open, wonderful format for getting older games and some newer games. So they made GOG Galaxy, and it's a client just like all of the other ones for you to be able to, you know, grab different programs and different games. They've kept it completely open and optional, and there's no DRM still. You don't even have to be online. GOG Galaxy features one-click installation and auto updates for its library of over 1,000 titles, but it also stays true to GOG.com values. It is all optional. Automatic updating can be disabled for any game, but if you leave it on and a patch breaks something, GOG Galaxy will offer its rollback feature to restore a previous version of the game. Gamers can also download a standalone DRM-free backup copy of every game, so keeping purchases safe is easier than ever. I think for a lot of really hardcore PC gamers, GOG has really, it's become like this beautiful, wonderful thing on the internet, and everybody's like, please, 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 just don't change. Just stay your beautiful, perfect self, pure as the driven snow. And so when they started talking about making a client like GOG Galaxy, I think there was a little bit of concern there, like, well, what does that mean? What does that mean for us and how we're going to be interacting with games on GOG in the future? And I love so much that they've stuck to the things that they believe in, you know, when it comes to PC games. I mean, Origin and Uplay, they never even came close to giving Steam a run for their money. So I would love to see GOG Galaxy do really well, because it does keep in line with what we want as a consumer, and I think that that's very rare. So it is an open beta. You should check it out if you're interested, see if you like it, see if, you know, it's your Jimmy Jam. I've been saying that a lot lately. The legacy of the PT teaser game for Silent Hills has almost been more terrifying than the game itself. So once it was announced that Silent Hills was going to be canceled, they also told us that PT was going to be taken down. So people weren't going to be able to download PT anymore. It was very sad. It was very upsetting. But fortunately, the people who already had the game downloaded are still able to play the game. Although, if for some reason you had to get rid of the game and then re-download it, you couldn't do that. And their desire to keep this game under wraps has been like Flappy Bird levels. What I mean by that is, so for a while there, people were putting PS4s with PT on them onto eBay and being like, hey, you want to buy this PS4? It has PT on it, which is identical to what people were doing with Flappy Bird. When Flappy Bird was taken down from the mobile store, people were starting to put mobile devices up on eBay and be like, it's got Flappy Bird on it, and everybody just lost it and flipped over a table and then bought it. So the PS4s with PT on them have been doing pretty well, and now all of them have been taken off. If you go to eBay right now and you type in PT, nothing that even comes close to what you might be looking for will show up. eBay has systematically taken all of them down, the same way that they did with the Flappy Bird mobile devices. Which is weird, because in the terms and conditions for eBay when it comes to electronic devices, they specifically say, like, alright, well, you need to be aware that these devices you're buying might have programs on them. Like, that's not something we can control. You're getting it directly from somebody else. But there are specific programs that if you say are on your device, apparently they just, I don't know where that comes from. Like, if the major company reaches out, but with something like Flappy Bird, I mean, that was one dude who, I don't know, might have harassed eBay long enough that they were like, okay, fine, we'll take them down, oh my goodness. I just think it's so strange, with as well as PT has done as just a standalone, right? Like, there are plenty of people out there who don't even realize it was supposed to be a teaser for Silent Hills. And it was just so well done, so good. And I don't understand why they're insisting on taking it down. It doesn't make any sense to me. For a company that's getting a lot of flack for a lot of different decisions that they've made, I don't understand why they would do something like this, like taking down PT, when it seems so incredibly unnecessary. Because when you finish the game, it's like, Silent Hill's coming soon! They could maybe re-upload it, put it back in the game store, but without that part, I don't know. It's just pretty disappointing because a lot of people were looking forward to Silent Hills, and PT was such a good, I don't want to say predecessor, but maybe a precursor. It was such a good appetizer for the main dish, and it was the sort of appetizer where you were like, you know what? I could walk away from this meal now. That appetizer was pretty good, but the entree is probably going to be great. And then the head chef comes over and says, sorry, we ran out of your entree, but we literally can't make you anything else. You're gonna have to leave. I don't know where this is going. Anyways, so if you were planning on selling a PS4 and being like, it's got PT on it, maybe just leave that part out. Be like, it's a PS4 with literally nothing on it. Maybe there's code. Maybe there's a way that you can like work it into the description, and then people who are really invested would be like, I see the mom is in the house. So PT is on this device. The consumer version of the Oculus Rift finally has a release window. It will be coming out first quarter of 2016. The responses to that have been a mixture of, wow, took long enough, we've waited long enough for this, put it out now. And then, you know, the people who have done their research saying, thank goodness they worked all of those bugs out before deciding on a release window. As many of you can probably guess, there have been all sorts of problems with different visions, with people getting sick while using it, with sitting down versus standing up while using it. There have been lots and lots of things that they've had to, you know, identify, isolate, and fix. According to the official Oculus.com website, the retail version builds on the presence, immersion, and comfort of the Crescent Bay prototype, with an improved tracking system that supports both seated and standing experiences, as well as a highly refined industrial design and updated ergonomics for a more natural fit. We do have pictures of what the retail headset will look like, so you get an idea of what, you know, where the squish is and where the firm is. It's a weird way to put that, but you know, I feel like you get it. As a person who has very limited interaction with the Oculus Rift, I know that a lot of people who used the Crescent Bay prototype said that it was incredible, that the difference was just like blowing their minds. So I'm really excited to see what the retail version is like, because they've taken such pains, they've taken so long to make sure that it's a good experience for as many people as possible. Actually, the longest period of time that I wore the Oculus Rift was when I was in that hamster ball at PAX, so I'm sure anything is gonna be better than that. There's a hacker in Guild Wars 2 that was straight up terrorizing people for like weeks. He created a situation where like he was basically unkillable and he could kill anybody, and he was just like messing with everybody's stuff, you know? Just making it a really unsatisfying experience. And so lots and lots of people were reporting this guy and started to assume that maybe nobody cared, like nobody was gonna do anything about it. Eventually they found the hacker and decided to do some sort of medieval stuff with it. What I mean by that is they took control of this guy's avatar, they stripped the avatar down and tossed him off of a building, had him wave to the camera and literally jump off of a building to his death. And they did that systematically with all of his characters. They've taken down everything that he had. Now, some people feel like maybe that was a little too far, maybe a little too grand of a gesture. Guild Wars 2 is not without its problems, just like any MMO. There are plenty of things that need to be fixed. And so, of course, when they do something like this, some of the response has been along the lines of, wow, okay, you can take the time to, you know, dink around with this guy and do some weird stuff there, but you can't take the time to fix this problem over here. Or, you know, the whole fallacy of, well, if you would just take the time to fix this thing, then hackers couldn't get in anyway, which is literally never true. Hackers will always find a way to get in. From my perspective, and I think the perspective of a few other people, this is sort of the equivalent of taking your enemy's head and putting it on a pike. And just being like, look, this is what happens when you mess with us. This is what you get. And I'm sure to some of the people who interacted with this hacker, this was a very satisfying end for him. Maybe a little grotesque, maybe a little obscene, but satisfying nonetheless. I think all companies really have to sit down and discuss how they want to deal with that situation. Because I know in the original Guild Wars, right? In the original Guild Wars, didn't one of the gods of death just come and like drag you away and just be like, all right, well, this guy's done. But then in the lore for the new Guild Wars, like 6 of the gods are hiding out, but I don't think that that god is one of the 6. So originally I was like, well, maybe they can't use that because that god is supposed to be in hiding. But I don't think that he's in that group. It's interesting because I think the way that they did it in the original game was far more lighthearted and clever, right? Whereas dealing with it this way, and maybe this is only for this specific guy because he caused so many problems and such a headache. They really wanted to make sure that they, you know, made a statement with him for whatever reason. Maybe in general they deal with that sort of a thing differently, and for this guy it had to be very specific. But I do feel like the message with this one is a bit more muddy than the message with the other. Either way, that guy's not coming back, so tink. A victory, I suppose. A demo for Splatoon was available, I think, yesterday and the day before for very specific hours of playtime. They wanted to see whether or not a server with players from all over the globe would be able to handle it. So essentially it was a stress test, if we're being honest. But a lot of the response from that playtime has been really good. People really enjoy it. They think that it's super fun. There has been a little bit of discussion about the pre-order bonus. It was basically like, so again, this beta was very limited, right? There wasn't a whole lot of time that you could play it in this specific instance. And I think the game comes out on the 29th. It comes out later this month. But anyway, I guess when you got into the demo, there was like a little pop-up that was like, hey, if you pre-order, then while you're playing this demo, you get a cool outfit. And a lot of people were going, well, but I only get to play for a limited amount of time. That doesn't seem worth it. But I gotta read you, okay, I have to read you the thing that made me the happiest girl in the world. Themed events called Splatfests will pose questions to players such as, do you prefer dogs or cats? Players must then choose and represent their side during online battles. Players who rank high enough can even get a valuable Super Sea Snail item to upgrade their gear. Prepare for the first Splatfest taking place on June 20th. I love that idea because I think any sort of a game that creates events for you to participate in is just, that's great. But since this game is aimed at so many different ages of players and they want to keep it as family friendly as possible, I love this idea of little kids logging on to play Splatoon and being asked like, what's your favorite color? Do you like red or blue better? You know, like things like that, and then just being thrown into a game, right? It's the sort of competitive spirit that you already get when you're a kid. The game looks really fun. I still haven't even touched it. But a lot of the response has been positive, so I'm excited to try it out later. There was some other Nintendo Direct stuff, like Nintendo is going to be opening up possibly like some rides at Universal Studios, which is weird. I have no idea what those rides would look like. They've also created something that's going to replace Club Nintendo. It's going to be available on like every Nintendo device and every mobile device, so I'm sure that that's where them kind of dipping more into mobile is starting to come in. We're starting to see, you know, the results of that. And then they want it to be, you know, a much cleaner system and more effective and blah, blah, blah. I'm sure that it's going to wind up being more of an app-based thing, you know, because again, mobile. But it did surprise me when they took down Club Nintendo and they had nothing to replace it with. You know, like no reward system at all. And now we're being told, all right, well, you know, we're still doing that. It doesn't have a name and it's not made yet, but we're working on it. And I'm just surprised that they didn't wait until they had a new system in place to swap them out. You know, just to like, for the people who aren't getting rewarded for anything, I think it's probably a little frustrating. And as a final bit of news, there has been, oh my gosh, just like, so the modding controversy continues. This time it's not Skyrim though, it's GTA 5. Basically Rockstar was banning people for using mods. And according to the people who were being banned, it was using single player and multiplayer mods, which to me is like a big problem. Like sure, if you feel like the mods and multiplayer are making it, you know, not quite an even playing field, then sure, like don't use mods in multiplayer. But mods in single player, like, why wouldn't you allow that? So people continued to complain, like, yeah, I'm being banned for, you know, using single player mods, like FOV mods, things like that. And now Rockstar is saying, no, we have never banned anybody for using a single player mod at all. Which, if that's true, then why are people claiming that? Like, are there some mods that go across both? And so even if you're using it in single player, it dings a thing? I don't know. Quotes straight from Rockstar. We have always appreciated the creative efforts of the PC modding community, and we still fondly remember the awesome Zombie Invasion mod and original GTA map mod for GTA 4 PC, among many other classics. To be clear, the modding policy in our license has not changed and is the same as for GTA 4. Recent updates to GTA 5 PC had an unintended effect of making unplayable certain single-player modifications. This was not intentional, no one has been banned for using single-player modifications, and you should not worry about being banned or being relegated to the cheater pool just for using single-player PC mods. Our primary focus is on protecting GTA Online against modifications that could give players an unfair advantage, disrupt gameplay, or cause griefing. So it sounds like they made a goof, like they were like, oops, and wound up punishing some people, but are not anymore. So hopefully that's the case, and people can continue using, you know, like the gun that shoots cars instead of bullets, because that stuff's hilarious. GTA is just such a ripe ground for mods, you know, and it's the sort of thing that has kept the GTA games going so long after they've been created. It's the same for The Sims, and it's just always disappointing when you feel like, why can't just like let mods be mods, let the mods be mods. Anywho, that's been my show. Thank you so much for watching. If you have a positive or a negative response, feel free to leave it in my comment section. And if you'd like to have coffee with me, you can click wherever I put the annotation and it'll take you to my other channel where Coffee Time still has not come back. I know I say that every week, but it will be coming back soon, I promise. All right, have a fantastic rest of your week, and I will see you again next Sunday, okay? Bye-bye.